In the gleaming lobby of Apex Towers, a single splash of water from an old cleaner's rag ignites a firestorm. Tommy, the arrogant son of a powerful tycoon, lashes out with a vicious kick, unaware that the frail woman he's humiliated is no ordinary cleaner. Mimar Grace, silent and unassuming, hides a staggering secret. She's the true owner of the empire Tommy's father rules. One reckless act unravels a decade of deception, thrusting Tommy from a life of luxury to a world of ruin. As social media erupts and fortunes crumble, a shocking twist looms. What happens when Tommy's desperation leads him to a midnight crime and the wrong house? Subscribe now to uncover the jaw-dropping truth in Part 2. You useless old hag, have you lost your mind? Tommy blurted out the instant water hit him. It was just a tiny splash from a damp rag. Not much, but it struck his costly black designer shirt like it was poison. Mimar Grace, the elderly cleaner, hadn't noticed him approaching. She was focused, squeezing her rag, eyes fixed downward as she scrubbed a corner of the vast marble floor in Apex Towers. Her hands were frail, and the rag was dripping wet. So when she flicked it toward the bucket, a few drops sprayed out. Unfortunately, those drops landed on Tommy, who stormed in with noise, cologne, and fury. He stopped dead, then yelled again, "My God, are you blind? Do you have any idea how much this shirt is worth?" Before Mimar Grace could respond, his foot shot up and hit her in the stomach. The kick was sudden, without warning. Her fragile frame collapsed sideways, the mop bucket tipped over, the rag flew, and her hip struck the hard tile with a muted thud. The lobby fell completely silent. A few onlookers gasped. The receptionist rose from her seat. A security guard took one step forward but hesitated. Everyone knew Tommy, the entitled, haughty son of Chief Akinwell, one of the most dreaded names in the company. Mimar Grace moaned in pain. She didn't shed tears, not yet. She tried to stand, but her hands slipped on the slick floor. Still, she didn't raise her voice. She looked up at him, breathing heavily, and said, "Oh, my son, you struck me." But Tommy showed no remorse. "Struck you? I should have used a stick, you foolish woman. You got filthy water on me, and you're still talking? What's wrong with your head?" His friends behind him were already snickering. Tommy jabbed a finger at Mimar Grace. "People like you are why Nigeria's stuck in the past. You don't know how to fade away and make room for important people. Look at you, old as my grandmother, still slinking around with a mop and bucket like a roach." Mimar Grace slowly sat up, gently touching her side. Her voice was steady yet resolute. "I said I'm sorry, my son. It was an accident. I didn't see you coming. Be quiet." Tommy snapped back. "You didn't see me? Not my shoes. Not my cologne? Didn't hear the sound of greatness coming your way? Are you blind, deaf, and stupid all at once?" The receptionist started to speak, but quickly shut her mouth, avoiding trouble. The elevator dinged open, but no one stepped inside. Tommy continued his tirade. "Look at her face, like spoiled Gary. Do you even have a family? Or have you spent your whole life scrubbing floors in places you can't afford to eat at? No wonder you're so bitter." Mimar Grace swallowed her pain and shook her head slowly. "My son, pride comes before a fall. Take care. You think someone like me could fall? My father owns this building. He runs this company. You're nothing. If I weren't so kind, I'd make one call and have you fired today." He spat on the floor next to her. "You dare curse me? You better watch yourself. Next time I see you near me, I swear I'll show you not all lunatics live in Yaba." Mimar Grace's hands trembled as she picked up her rag. Her lips moved again, her voice barely audible. "You struck me today, but one day you'll bow before me." Tommy stopped laughing for a second. "What did you just say?" Mimar Grace rose slowly, with effort, her back hunched, her wrapper wet on one side. But her eyes, they weren't afraid. They seemed ancient. "You claim this company is your father's," she whispered. "But I'm telling you, the true owner is watching. And one day, the truth will come to light." Tommy let out a loud hiss. "Crazy old woman's nonsense. Let's go, Jory." He adjusted his glasses, brushed off his shirt, and turned away, dragging his arrogance with him. As he stepped in the elevator, his friends followed, still chuckling. The doors closed behind them. Mimar Grace stood alone in the lobby, staring at the bucket, rag, mop, and the people pretending not to see her pain. Then she whispered, "He struck me in the very company built with my name, my sweat, my ideas." She turned and walked away slowly, each step resounding in the cold, quiet lobby that N01 knew, that N01 suspected. But the frail, battered cleaner was the true owner of Apex Towers. And soon, Tommy would learn that lesson the hard way. Now, let me take you back to the beginning. Before the kick, the insults, the humiliation of the elderly woman in the lobby, there was a boy named Tommy Akinwell. Tommy was born into wealth, with silver spoons, gold plates, diamond cups, and servants who handled his diapers like they were royal treasures. That he was the only child of Chief Akinwell, a prominent businessman known throughout Nigeria. They called him the Bull of Lagos, not for his strength, but because his presence in any business setting made others bow. He had connections, properties, and top roles in many companies. One of those was Apex Towers Limited, a gleaming skyscraper in the heart of Victoria Island, brimming with influence, crawling with CEOs, and filled with people who walked as if money were beneath their feet. Chief Akinwell didn't own the company, but he managed it as if he did as managing director. His signature could build or ruin lives. The board feared him. His employees revered him, and no one dared challenge him, except one person, his wife. Her name was Madame Remy Akinwell, the true queen of their empire. Remy wasn't poor either. She came from quiet, old money. She met Chief Akinwell at the University of Ibadan when they were students. That he had nothing but ambitious, wild dreams. And she believed in him. They married young and built their empire together. But as their wealth grew, so did something else. Tommy, and sadly, they raised him wrong. Tommy was their only child, their miracle after Madame Remy's miscarriages. When he arrived, they vowed he'd never want for anything, and they kept that promise. Tommy never carried water, did chores, or heard the word no. If he broke something, they replaced it. If he failed an exam, they blamed the teacher. If he hit another child, they said the child deserved it. His mother protected him fiercely. "My son can't be wrong," she'd declare. "Tommy is just strong-willed. He's a leader." So Tommy grew up believing he was above everyone else. In secondary school, he slapped a prefect, and they suspended the prefect instead. In university, he crashed his car into a gate and blamed the security guard, who was fired. Imagine what happened when he graduated and his father handed him a senior executive role at Apex Towers, despite knowing nothing about business. Suddenly, Tommy strutted into one of Nigeria's grandest buildings, wearing suits he didn't pay for, holding files he didn't read, and ordering around people twice his age. The staff despised him, but no one spoke up. Why? Because his father was Chief Akinwell, the power behind the throne. As long as Tommy was his son, everyone stayed silent. Tommy became a tempest in the company. He insulted drivers, threw files at secretaries, and yelled at senior managers like they were school children. He'd arrive late to meetings, prop his feet up, and scroll through his phone while others spoke. And worst of all, he relished it. He loved the fear in their eyes, the hush that followed his steps, the way security guards scrambled to open doors for him. Tommy believed the entire building was his, and honestly, it was hard to fault him when his father treated him like royalty. Whenever someone complained about his behavior, Chief Akinwell brushed it off. "He's young," he'd say with a smile. "Let him find his path. He'll grow into it." But Tommy wasn't growing. He was inflating with pride, arrogance, and disrespect. When he wasn't working, he lived lavishly, clubbing in Lekki, buying gold chains and watches, switching girlfriends like shirts, posting Instagram quotes about hustle and grind. Though he'd never worked for anything, he called himself a born billionaire. So when a frail, wrinkled cleaner accidentally splashed water on his shirt in the Apex Towers lobby one morning, Tommy did what he'd been conditioned to do his whole life: lash out with pride, yell, curse, kick, and humiliate. To him, she was nothing, just another nobody beneath his feet. He didn't know he'd just stepped on a landmine. Because the old woman he kicked wasn't just a cleaner, she was the silent owner of the entire company, and her retribution was coming. That morning, the building buzzed with unease. Some staff whispered behind printers, others typed slowly, waiting for news to break. But no one dared speak openly about what they'd seen. Tommy, kicking the old cleaner and hurling insults at her like she was garbage. Deep down, The workers sensed something strange, almost spiritual, had occurred. Even after the incident, Mimar Grace didn't cry, shout, or report him. She simply left the lobby, carrying her bucket and mop like a woman heading home to draft her will. But she wasn't going home. She was heading to the 18th floor boardroom. The golden elevator ascended slowly. Mimar Grace stood alone, gazing at her reflection in the mirrored walls. Her eyes were calm, but her heart raced. It had been a decade since she'd entered that boardroom. A decade of pretending, a decade of mopping the floors of her own company, a decade of silence, watching something or someone. Now, because of one reckless, arrogant boy's kick, her silence was over. When the elevator dinged at the 18th floor, the two security guards at the entrance looked up, stunned. They knew her as the old cleaner, but she'd never come up here. She smiled at them. "Tell the board I need to speak with them. Tell them the sleeping lion is awake." The guards exchanged looks, and one hurried into the glass meeting room where a board meeting was underway. The room was packed with every member of Apex Tower's board. Directors, shareholders, executives, and at the head sat the self-styled king, Chief Akinwell. That he wore a crisp blue suit, his haircut fresh, his gold watch gleaming like his pride, that he was discussing a Billionaire contract when the door opened. "Excuse me, sir," the guard said nervously. "Someone's here to see you, Madam Grace." Chief Akinwell frowned. "Grace? Who's Grace?" An elderly board member sat up abruptly. "You mean Madam Grace Ollie?" The name silenced the room. Madam Grace Ollie, the true founder and original owner of Apex Towers, who vanished from the business world a decade ago after entrusting power to a board she believed in. Chief Akinwell's throat went dry. That Grace?" he whispered. "Yes, sir," the guard said. "She's outside, but sir, it's the cleaner, the old woman who mops the lobby." Another board member gasped. "She's been here all along? As a cleaner?" The room erupted in murmurs of shock, confusion, and regret. Then the doors opened. Mimar Grace walked in, not with a mop or bucket, but like a lioness roused from a long slumber. Her wrapper was faded, her blouse plain, but her posture had shifted, her eyes commanding. She strode to the head of the table and locked eyes with Chief Akinwell. "Get up from my chair," she said calmly. He laughed nervously at first. "Ma, please, you're confused. Maybe you're unwell." She raised a hand. "Silence, Akinwell. You've spoken for a decade. I gave you this power. I trusted you. And this morning, your son, your only son, the one you raised like a deity, kicked me in the building I built with my own hands." The board was deathly quiet. Chief Akinwell sat frozen. "That boy," she continued, "humiliated me, insulted me, nearly broke my bones, thinking I was just a poor old woman. And why wouldn't he? When his father treats people like insects and his mother spoils him like a rotten egg. You let him think he owned the world. Now he's crossed the wrong line." She pulled a brown envelope from her handbag and tossed it onto the table. "Inside are documents proving I still hold 62% of Apex Tower shares, meaning this company is legally and financially mine." A board member opened the file, eyes widening. It's true. She never relinquished controlling rights. She only stepped back from daily management. She still owns the company. Chief Akinwell stood. "Ma, please, let's discuss this." "Sit down," she barked. For the first time in a decade, the bull of Lagos obeyed like a timid lamb. She turned to the board. "Effective today, I am resuming my full rights as majority owner. First order, Chief Akinwell, you are removed as managing director, effective immediately." Gasps filled the room. Chief Akinwell sank into his chair. "Madam, please," he whispered. "Don't do this. I have a family. And I had a name," she replied. "You turned it into a rag. I entrusted you with my legacy, and you let your son spit on me, kick me, treat me like dirt. Now you'll face the consequences." That afternoon, a public memo went out. Chief Akinwell has stepped down due to internal restructuring. All communications will now go through Madam Grace Ollie, founder and board chair of Apex Towers. But that wasn't the end. The news exploded online. A cleaner revealed as a billionaire, a son who kicked her, a father who lost it all. Social media ignited. Videos of Tommy yelling in the lobby trended. Memes flooded Twitter, Instagram. Brimmed with headlines, he kicked his fate. From rich kid to broke kid. The downfall of Tommy Akinwell. The Mop Queen's revenge. By evening, Chief Akinwell's accounts were frozen, his cars repossessed, and his Banana Island mansion under investigation. Tommy was in hiding, having destroyed his father's empire with one kick, that if anyone had told Tommy Akinwell he'd one day beg for food, sleep on bare concrete, and haul cement for survival, he'd have slapped them twice. But that was before the kick. Before the old cleaner stood in the boardroom and revealed she owned Apex Towers. Before his father, Chief Akinwell, lost everything in a single afternoon. After the news broke, events moved swiftly. Chief Akinwell's name was erased from the company website. His portraits were removed. Security guards who once saluted him now averted their eyes. Worse, investigations started into shady contracts he'd signed over his 10-year reign. Government agencies came knocking. Bank accounts were frozen. Properties in Banana Island and Dubai were seized. Even the Range Rover that dropped Tommy at clubs was repossessed. The Bull of Lagos was no longer untouchable. He was a man dodging lawsuits and reporters. That the heart of this ruin was his son, the same Tommy who bragged on Instagram, "I'll never be poor. My father's my safety net." That safety net had collapsed. 3 days after the scandal, Tommy entered his father's now empty office. The furniture was gone, the air cold. His father sat in a plastic chair, staring blankly. "Dad," Tommy whispered, "I didn't know she owned the company." Chief Akinwell raised a hand. "Not a word, Tommy. Not one." He turned slowly to his son. "Do you know how hard I worked for this reputation? The effort it took to become powerful in this country? And you, with one stupid kick, one moment of arrogance, burned it all down. You didn't just shame me. You destroyed me." Tommy's lips quivered. "I'm sorry, Dad. I swear." "You're not sorry," his father snapped. "You're just hungry. That's why you're here." Tommy looked down. Chief Akinwell took a deep breath. "From today, you're on your own. Find your way. You cost me everything. Now go face the consequences." That was the last time Tommy saw his father, that he left with only his phone, one pair of jeans, and the weight of global shame on his shoulders. At first, Tommy thought it was temporary. Just a phase, he told himself. "My friends will help me. We'll bounce back." So he called Bio, his clubbing buddy. "Bro, can I crash at your place for a couple days?" Bio replied, Man, my girl from Port Harcourt just got here. No room at all." He called Femi, who used to borrow his clothes. "Baba, can you spot me 10K? I haven't eaten since yesterday." Femi sent a blue tick, then blocked him. Even the girls who called him Zaddy vanished like smoke. In 01 wanted to be tied to a national disgrace. His phone went silent, his Instagram dead, and his stomach growled in new languages. That a week later, Tommy stood on a bustling Ajid street, in a borrowed t-shirt and dusty slippers. He hadn't eaten in 2 days. He watched men haul cement bags, laborers mix concrete, boys push sand-filled wheelbarrows. For the first time, Tommy approached the foreman and said, "Sir, please, can I work?" The man eyed him skeptically. "Are you mad? You look like a billboard model, and you want to carry cement." Tommy nodded slowly. "I've got no choice, sir." And so it began. Each morning, he woke before dawn, no mattress, no pillow, just the bare floor of an abandoned shop. That he'd wash his face with sachet water and head to the construction site. He hauled cement bags, mixed blocks under the scorching sun, pushed wheelbarrows until his palms blistered. Sometimes he coughed from the dust. Sometimes he collapsed from hunger. The other workers mocked him. "See, rich boy, from Benz to bricklayer." But he didn't retort. He was too exhausted for pride. That night, he'd sit alone, stare at the sky, and whisper, "How did I end up here?" But just when you think Tommy's life couldn't sink lower, it took a darker turn, from hauling cement on a construction site to wielding a gun at midnight. Yes, hunger and shame drove him to armed robbery. But what happens the night he breaks into the wrong house will shock you. Don't miss it. Subscribe now to catch part 2 first.